All right, all right. Let's get this thing started. We're going to give it just another minute or two for some more folks to join. We have quite a few folks in the lobby, so we're just going to give it a second here so that they can join us. Welcome, everyone. While you're joining, just some housekeeping. So we have microphones and cameras disabled by design. That is just so we have a ton of information to share with you today, and we want to make sure that we have time to get through everything and still allow for some Q&A at the end. You should see a Q&A option. It is right at the top of the Windows, the Teams window. You can go ahead and click on that, ask questions at any point in time. I will be there answering questions for ACI. We also have some folks available answering questions for the DataMaster team. So please feel free to ask any questions at any point in time during the presentation. And we will still give it another moment or two here. We still have quite a few folks in the lobby that are joining. All right, team, let's go ahead and get started. We still have some folks piling in. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a full house. Hopefully it doesn't break teams, but we're so happy that you were able to join us on this exciting adventure that we are about to take, a guided tour through UAD 3.6 with the experts. So my name is Kim Angelone. I am the program director here at ACI. I oversee our product strategy and this thing called UAD 3.6 for our company. Joining me today, I have two very esteemed guests. I have Jared Preisler, he is from DataMaster, and Evelyn Schallberger, ACI's product manager. And so without further ado, Jared, would you like to introduce yourself to the folks?
Yeah, Kim, thank you. I'm excited to be here as well. This seems to be maybe the hottest topic that I've been involved in the 30 years that I've been appraising. I started just as a simple fee appraiser, had a lot of previous experience in construction and remodel, ran a home inspection company, and was investing in some real estate. And I'm very blessed to be able to transition my profession or my career into appraising. Some of the other things that I've done, I'm currently the chief appraiser for DataMaster, as well as I continue to work in the fee world. I'm doing appraisals nearly every day, and I've trained 6 appraisers along the way. And I think to note for our topic today, in 2018, as part of the DataMaster team, I was able to be part of the redesign committee that was formed jointly by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and have been part of the process maybe not since the very beginning, but just a couple of meetings in. And so I've been along the process for a long time, representing appraisers and also vendors. And so I'm excited to share with you some insight that I've gained along that journey.
Thank you so much, Jared. Evelyn, do we have you on the line?
I'm in here. I'm here. I was stuck in the lobby for a minute, but I'm here. There's so many folks in here. I'm so excited. So, hi everyone. My name is Evelyn Schallberger. I am one of the product managers on the ACI team. Specifically, my focus is everything related to 3.6. More specifically, our new solution that will allow users to create a URAR, which is ACI Sky Workbench. So, not nearly as long as Jared, but I have been in the industry, not an appraiser myself, but I worked alongside appraisers for the last 14 years, whether it was on, within a QC team, an AMC team, building vendor panels. My entire responsibility has been surrounded by understanding what it is that appraisers are encountering depending on the day, right? It ebbs and flows for sure, depending on the season, but and understanding those problems and implementing solutions to them, whether they're big or small. So hopefully that's translating in my role at ACI as well for y'all. And I'm excited to show you what we've been working on with ACI Sky Workbench.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Evelyn. We have quite an agenda planned for you. So first, we're going to go into, what is this thing that is UAD 3.6? Everybody's talking about it right now. There are so many questions that are buzzing about. The folks that registered for this, you had some fantastic questions that you sent us. And so we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to speak to that. And who better than Jared? So Jared, I'm going to let you take the floor.
Thank you, Kim. The transition from what we refer to now as either the legacy UAD, or you'll hear it sometimes as UAD 2.6. That's the legacy product that we're working in. And the 2.6 or the 3.6 refers to the version of MISMO that we deliver our reports in. And so they've kind of combined this Uniform Appraisal Dataset, UAD, with the MISMO component, the 3.6. So that's where that came from. And it all started in early 2018. It was designed originally, or the goal originally was a 3-year process. There have been lots and lots of participants. This slideshow is provided by both, or this slide here is Fannie and Freddie. And you'll see most of the information, all the information I'm going to give you today has to do, it's published information that's available on the website, on Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac's website. This has been a collaborative effort. You can see here on this screen, there were a lot of lenders involved. There were form vendors, appraisers. I think, though, that this kind of doesn't tell the full story. I remember many of the meetings that we've been on, the email list for those meetings were in the 250 plus participants. And we met on a monthly basis. We had tasks to perform in between, and there was a lot of feedback. And I am super excited about the outcome, about the results. It took much longer than 3 years. Here we are many years later. COVID kind of got in the way, and there were a few other things. I think it was an ambitious project thinking about the 3 years, but we're finally getting to that point where we're starting to see, and shortly in September, we'll start seeing the very first pilot program, or what the GSEs term as limited production. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But why was the design really necessary? There were really some outdated traditional reports that we that we couldn't really fit the way that we use property today, and the diverse types of properties into these reports that really were anchored in a printed, typewriter forms and worms type report. And so the need was to not just do a redesign of the existing forms, but really to update and change completely. And Kim, if you want to advance through a couple of, I think, to this next slide, it really shows yeah, this one right here. It really shows this conversion path. So we have these UAD 2.6 forms that we currently are using. And the project goal was to convert all of them into one dynamic driven appraisal report. We don't say forms anymore. We say reports, and they will change as the property type that you're doing changes. And it's pretty exciting. I think the simplest example that I could give is, let's say that you're doing an appraisal assignment and there's two kitchens and in the property. And so when you excuse me, start entering the information, you say I have a second kitchen, and the report opens up a second portion and says, is this a duplex? Is it a entertaining kitchen? What all of a sudden do we have? Do we have an additional unit? And if there's not two kitchens, then you just continue along with the one kitchen. And so it expands and contracts based on the information. The other thing that's really nice about this report that I really like is that all the information is in the same place. It's consistent. So if in your report you're talking about highest and best use, and I'm talking about it in my report, our clients are going to be able to find it all in the exact same place. There's no additional addendums to hunt through. I know as an appraiser, it becomes frustrating when I spend a lot of time describing something, doing the analysis, only to have somebody come back and ask me to further explain why I didn't do something. And I think, oh, that was on page 3 of my addendum. Did you not read my report? Those days are gone. This new dynamic report is going to correct or replace all of that, because as you're making the comments, they're right in the place in which they belong. So no more addendums. Anyway, there's a lot of exciting things about it. I've had the opportunity to teach. There's a new 7-hour course out on the new appraisal report that was put out by the GSEs. If you haven't taken that course, look for a place to take that. It's a 7-hour class. Honestly, buckle up, because it's about 22 hours worth of material jammed into seven hours. It's a lot of fun to teach. And I'll tell you, on my experience with teaching it, many appraisers come away saying, when I came to this, I thought I would never want to appraise again. And now, after going through this class, I'm excited to be appraising with this new format, with the new report, and to embrace some technology. And that's what we're going to really talk about today, is some of the things that are there to help you in your business. I'm more excited about our industry today than I ever have been. And so let's go ahead and talk about just a couple of things. We'll go through some slides rather quickly about why it was necessary, what we had to do. And I'm going to hit these pretty quick because we want to get to the demo. We want to see how this is working. But like I mentioned before, we have these outdated forms. It really became very complex in trying to appraise properties and get everything in the right boxes. There was also inconsistent data. So I might do it one way, somebody else would do it another way, and then also to increase the efficiencies. And so those were some of the things that necessitated this redesign. Go ahead, Kim. I think we're ready for the next one. Perfect. The goal was to standardize data to become more flexible, data-driven framework, and you're going to hear that a lot. Rather than having the form drive the appraisal process, we really want the data to drive the process. We have all of these digital tools, this technology that the forms, the legacy forms, kind of get in the way of our efficiencies. And so by being more data driven, we're going to improve risk, enhance the usability, and then be able to integrate this technology, not just for today and the technology that exists now, but planning for the future as well. And so that was one of those goals. I want to talk next to share just a little bit about modernization. When we talk about appraisal modernization, it may be a little bit different to each of us. We have a little different concept of what modernization may be. When Fannie and Freddie talk and refer about modernization, what they're talking about is a very broad set of initiatives that are aimed at improving the appraisal process to make it more efficient, accurate, and adaptable to modern technologies. In fact, there are seven initiatives that are in the modernization, appraisal modernization in Fannie and Freddie's mind. And we're not gonna deep dive into each one of these, but I want to talk about all seven because I think it's good for you to understand where we fit in our clients' scope of work, where we fit into their plan. And I think understanding that is really a good basis. So first, they want to increase technology. They want to embrace automated value models for the good or bad. And I'm just the messenger. I want you to know that some of these things I'm not as excited about. And there's going to be one when we get to number 5. Hold on. Don't break your monitor or jump off the call. I'm with you on number 5. So, but they remote and desktop appraisals, modernization to them. These are increasing the use of technology using digital forms and data standardization. Number 2 is faster, more efficient appraisal process, streamlining the workflow, and to be able to reduce the time it takes to complete an appraisal. You maybe have heard that the mortgage industry currently, it takes about 14 to 21 days from loan application to funding. The goal is to reduce that to 48 hours. We can't do that using legacy techniques and legacy products. And so being more efficient, faster, but not losing the risk. Our whole process, the reason that we're doing appraisal is to help our clients manage their risk. And if we just get faster and we're not keeping the same quality, we're going to be introducing more risk instead of lowering the risk. And so the next thing that they see, number 3, is really the flexibility in appraisal type. We've got these hybrid, these bifurcated appraisals, traditional, and based on the type of risk of the loan, Fannie and Freddie's goal is to be able to utilize some of these other appraisal types. And I think this is a good place for me to mention this. And some of you that have heard me speak before will know that this is one of my soapbox, one of the things that I like to get on. I think as appraisers, we need to quit thinking about ourselves as just an appraiser. And instead, think about yourself as a provider of valuation services. And what does that open up to you and your business? If you start thinking about yourself not as a form-filling appraiser, but as a provider of valuation services, and look for the opportunities that present themselves as being able to expand your work, expand your business, and do some of these other these other types of valuation services. Don't limit yourself to being just a URAR appraiser. So number 4 is better data and analytics. By modernizing how the data is collected and reported, as appraisers, we can provide more accurate, standardized data. It improves our consistency, helps reduce the risk of errors and discrepancies. There's the modernization allows for a lot more flexibility for us as well. And also, I think you'll see as we start looking at the report, it's a little bit easier to read. And isn't that better for the public? Doesn't that ensure public trust a little bit more if we can provide a service that's a little bit easier to understand. So we're halfway through. Here's number 5. This is the one that you're not going to like. I don't like it. Faster turn times and lower cost. I know I've heard many of my colleagues say you can have one or the other. You can have it faster, or you can have it. You can have it right, but you can't have both. And here we're actually introducing faster and lower cost. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of the goals. The reality is this is one of the goals. The second bullet point there, cost reduction is another goal, as a more efficient appraisal process can help cut down the cost for both lenders and borrowers, making appraisals more affordable in certain cases. Now, I know whoever did that little emoji thing, yes, for sure, right? But the only way that I have learned that I can become that I could reduce my cost is by becoming more efficient. And technology is where we get that help. I can't continue to do the same things I'm doing cheaper. I'm already as cheap as I can be. I think sometimes that I think I could make more money if I was flipping hamburgers at McDonald's in some of those cases. But if you will embrace, in 2016, my office, we went paperless. And I could still do, many ask me, well, how can you work at DataMaster and then still do 30 to 40 appraisals a month in your private practice? And it's all about technology. Whether it's a DataMaster product, it's what we're going to see today, maybe for some of you for the first time, ACI's Workbench, which I absolutely love. It's through this efficiency that you're going to be able to actually see your revenue, even though your revenue may reduce, your profit ability is going to increase. And that's what I've seen personally in my business as I've embraced technology. And so don't worry too much about this. This is a goal, but you can still have a business model around it. Number 6, real quick, is addressing the appraisal shortage. There's many of us that are getting up there and where we're looking at maybe transitioning to a simpler, more relaxed, retired lifestyle. And the GSEs understand that, and using that technology can address some of the appraiser shortages in their mind. And the second bullet point here, expanding the appraisals workforce. What this means is that by using technology, I may be able to have a non-credentialed participant do some parts. I could delegate some of the work through technology, and still my credential is where the value is in completing that report. And lastly, number 7, is one of their goals was to improve risk management overall. Modernization allows for a more precise and consistent data reporting, enabling Fannie and Freddie to get better at assessing risk. And that's really, they don't want to replace us with modernization or with technology. We're just going to use this technology coupled with our human judgment to make for a better process and lower the risk in the mortgage industry that they're participating in. Lastly, just a really quick screenshot here. We've got these legacy forms. They're going to go away. Forms is becoming a bad word. And you're going to have this new URAR, this Uniform Residential Appraisal Report, that dynamically changes yet stays consistent so that everyone's reports are going to be organized in the same way. Now with DataMaster, I want to show you really quick how you do this with DataMaster, and then we're going to transition to a demo of Workbench. And so you're still going to function the same way that you do within your MLS, and maybe phase 2 or 3, there may be more integration into that, and we're looking at all kinds of different things. But currently, you search in your MLS, you're in control of the data. you delineate your market, you select that data, and then you export it out. And I'm telling you that if you're not familiar with exporting out of your MLS, that's one of the takeaways from today that you need to start getting better at. You need to start trying to figure out how your MLS works and how you can export out. Once you get your data in an export file, you send it to somebody like DataMaster, like us. We actually hit not only your MLS, but public records in a very real-time scenario. We use our patented process. We have two patents where we can combine, customize, and format the data. Whether it's 2.6 or it's 3.6 format, it's not going to matter. We process that, we combine it. We take a lot of the lift away from, we do a lot of the heavy lifting. We'll show you all your discrepancies. We'll put it into the format that you like it to be. And then once you're ready, then you just hit review and send and push it into ACI. A lot of the data is already processed for you, and you have a really clear understanding of what it is that you're working with. This process, personally, for me, saves anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. For my personal work, it doesn't matter if I'm doing a GSE report, FHA, whatever, or if I'm doing something for one of my litigation clients for one of my non-lender assignments, or even if I'm doing a review. It's a great tool for that. And it's using this type of technology that helps you make this transition from the 2.6 to the 3.6. And we're really not going to spend any more time than that. If you're interested in seeing a demo of DataMaster, we're going to have a QR code at the very end for you to kind of look at. So we'll go ahead. I'll jump off for a minute. I've been talking for way too long. Thank you for the emojis and for getting involved, for being here with us. Evelyn, Kim, I turn it back over to you guys.
That was fantastic, Jared. Thank you so much. That was incredibly informative. That hit on so many of the questions that I think appraisers have right now about why this initiative came about. What does this look like for the future? What do they need to prepare for? And you hit all of those key topics. So thank you very much. Before we get into Workbench in action, just some quick housekeeping for the folks on the line. We do have microphones and cameras disabled. And so I see some folks that are raising your hands. We won't be able to hear you even if we call you out. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A option. You should see Q&A at the top of your screen. If you click on that, you can post a question. We have some folks here who will be reading through those and responding as we go along. We'll also be flagging some for some live Q&A after the session. So next up, Evelyn, would you like to show these folks Workbench?
Absolutely. These emoji reactions are killing me. I'm cracking up as they're coming through. Love to see them. All right, y'all, let me go ahead and steal this screen share. I may turn camera off as we go through to do this. There's so many of you in here. It's crashing a little bit when I'm trying to go through and share some of this. So hopefully my screen is sharing on my side. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, Kim. What you should be seeing is ACI Sky Workbench, and it's going to look very different than ACI Report, right? Very, very different indeed. And we hope that you're excited about that, because we are. And I agree, all the context that Jared provided is so critical for as we go through this, and hopefully it helps to connect the dots and all the pieces make sense for why we chose to, one, create a brand new platform, right? Again, this is an ACI report. This is ACI Sky Workbench, web-based solution. You plug that URL into any browser, whether you're using Chrome, Edge, Safari, whatever you're using, wherever you're at. If you have internet access, you can log in and you can go ahead and work on a URAR, create a new order, finish an order, deliver an order, whatever you need to do, and go from there. But as soon as you log in, you see your dashboard. You'll be able to create orders in here. At first iteration, order creation is manual. In future implementations, we will be integrating with different customers and clients, so that is a much more seamless process for you. But you'll be able to quickly tell in here what you got planned for the day, right? The whole idea behind Workbench is that we're providing you tools. You're the driver, you choose when you're using them. First tool in here is being able to go through and filter your orders out based on inspection status. If you've got someone else kind of running the schedule for you in your office, or you are, just curious on what you got on your plate for the day, inspection wise. I'm going to start out on this first order at the very, very top. We'll go ahead and click in to view it in here. Now, initially, you're going to see a lot of assignment information that populates into the order. All of this information you entered because you created this order, right? And I'll even reference the image. Where's the image coming from if I just created this order? We have the luxury of being a first American company, ACI does. So we have access as well to a very robust data set. So when we have the data point to expose to you, we will always do that. And that just comes as an ACI user within this platform. So initially, it'll be a Street View image that'll populate here. Your data always overrides our data. You get to decide when you want to use our data versus, the data tree data that I'm going to show you in here, DataMaster data, whatever data you decide is the source of truth, you decide when you're going to use it. I'm actually going to navigate instead over to our subject and market research tab in here. Now, this is intended to give users a really thorough overview of the subject property itself, and kind of let you know what you're getting into for this particular order, right? But also allowing you to add this data into the relevant sections of your URAR as you go throughout and create your order. So we've got, descriptions here, legal descriptions that you can add in, site and utilities, general property characteristics, exterior details, interior. There's a laundry list of data points that are in here. And what we will always do. So this data for this particular order currently is pulling in from our data tree integration. I'm going to show you in a minute here what it looks like when we add in the DataMaster stuff. But initially here on the subject property, we are going to show you that source for data, right? So data tree is a combination of public record and MLS data, and we'll show you that there. We'll also always show you if there's a discrepancy. If we've got multiple data sources coming in and there's discrepancy for what it is as far as the answer for your data element, the construction materials, brick or frame siding. Which one is it? Which one do I want to add into my report? We call that out for you, and then you'll click on it and select which one you want added within the report for the subject. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our sales map. In here, very excited about this tab, comparables. We've implemented several drawing tools for you as users to go through and create boundaries for within the neighborhood. In future implementations, we have a very exciting feature where you can store those. That way you can reference them again later. The idea here with efficiency, right? We don't want you to have to draw the same neighborhoods over and over again. For those of you who work in the same neighborhoods, if you're in very, specific markets, that will be a feature that we will be rolling out. But let me go ahead and draw out this boundary here. So we can show exactly where this data is going to come in from. So again, as that's running through, pulling in some potential sales for consideration, it's isolating it to this boundary that we've drawn. And as that pulls up our results, keeps us within that boundary again, shows us our pins for the data that's being provided. We see the source for the data. Again, I referenced data tree. That is specifically our data source that we've got integrated here for you. We can always add additional filters, right? Number of months back, if you're in a unique market, you need to go back further than what you typically would. Lots of different filters in here so we can get as granular as needed for a particular assignment. But also for importing any of your data sheets, anything that you've exported from third-party sources, you'll be able to just make us aware of which source it is. Let's see in here. And then populate our data in here. So as that's importing my CSV with additional data points, it should let me know the difference between the sources, right? So you as a user will be able to see which ones are DataMaster sales that were found with that pull in versus data tree sales. Our data is still the same. I do want to call out, we display GLA in a lot of places in Workbench. We do also understand GLA is not, it's not an element that is recognized with 3.6, right? We're using above areas where, above area grade finished and unfinished and all that. But I just want to call that out for users because it's comfortable. You all know it really well. We reference it often. So you will see it in a lot of different places in Workbench. It is not mapped anywhere in your data set. It's just a reference point for you. So I just wanted to call that out briefly for the group. But you can go through and see all of the data in here related to the sales that were pulled in. Again, we see where they're coming from. You can come in here and just click the plus button to add them to your sales comparison approach. If you didn't mean to do that, you can remove them as well. And then, continue to go about your research for this particular assignment. The next flow that I wanted to show is our analytics tab. Now, I know that so many appraisers love having different graphs and data points that they can showcase. And specifically in the market section, right, of this new URAR, we can add these different graphs in here. And we're working on upgrading what these look and feel like. If you're used to ACI analytics, this is a fresh new look to a lot of those analytics that you use today. But you'll be able to just click a button, add it into your report, remove it if it was added on accident. There are several more that we are adding in here, right? Median price trend, sales and foreclosures, living area, and sale prices in here. Of course, we want to make sure that we've got additional ones in there, absorption rate, price trends, year built of sales, all of that. Those are absolutely coming as well, but wanted to show you what the analytics page will be looking like. Another component in ACI Workbench, exactly what it says it is. Files and Photos is a repository for all of your files and photos that are related to this order. So again, another tool within the platform is this Files and Photos component, allowing you to upload anything related to the order. Purchase contract, the first one that wasn't fully executed, the second one that was partially executed, and maybe even the third one that was finally fully executed, or if we made changes to it, whatever that may be. Letter of engagement, again, first one, the second, the third, fourth, fifth, depending on how many times the scope of work may change, hopefully not. But all of that can be in here. All of your images can be uploaded in here. Just drag and drop, or you can individually upload them. It will show you which ones are ready to upload versus what you have ready here. If you uploaded anything in error, you can go ahead and remove it. Very simple there. You'll be able to download either single files if maybe you're on a different machine, right? We said this isn't limited to desktop, and maybe you want to download the letter of engagement while you're out of office for whatever reason. You can either do it as a single file, or you can click the download files and photos here, and that will give you an entire zip of everything that's listed in here so that you can store that for your work file locally on your machine, or however you're choosing to do that. So that's files and photos. I think the more exciting element that's in here that folks want to see more of is the report builder tool and our report tracker tool. This is where we start to see your URAR come to life, right? This is where everyone's talking about the form is dynamic, not the form, the report is dynamic, and the report is dynamic. We need our workflow to be dynamic, and we're absolutely giving you that within here. So this particular order has some data saved in it and stored in it. There's some elements that are not yet filled out though. So this data is persisting over from what was entered in when we created the order. When we say persist, right, it carries over. If I entered it in one field, it's going to carry over into all of the relevant fields that would be required for that. So can you change it from here? Sure. But this one, this is a purchase. So I'm going to leave it as a purchase. And if we needed to change our valuation method as well, we could, but it's traditional in here. Now, let me go ahead and update some of this. Not a government agency appraisal, and that will be important once we generate our PDF in here. But if I don't want to fill out anything else, right, I'm not going to add the AMC that this is for. I'm not going to add any other information. I don't have any commentary to add, no exhibits to add in here in the assignment section. I'm just going to navigate over to the subject property. When ACI says our workflow is dynamic, what we mean by that is you can jump to any of these, just as I did, at any point in time. If you wanted to start in the sketch instead and you want to do that, you're not limited to the flow of the URAR. So what you see here on the progress tracker is a 1-for-1 with the exception of the summary page, right? Because that's a compilation of everything, but it's a 1-for-1 for the sections of the URAR. So they go in order. Assignment is first, subject property, site, so on and so forth. And you won't see these sections that aren't relevant to your property type. But what you can do is just click around if you wanted to and navigate to whichever section you prefer to start in without finishing the previous section. And what we'll do is show you, hey, you're not done. This is in progress. You're not going to be able to complete your zip file here. You won't have a finished PDF here that's going to be deliverable to anyone. So, but once you finish it, this will flip to complete rather than in progress as you go throughout. Now in here, we're in our subject property section. Again, this is where the next layer of dynamic comes into play, or another, I think, common term that's used often, field level validation, right? What does that mean? There's so many different terms that keep getting thrown out. Well, basically, if we answer one question one way, either additional questions appear or they are hidden, right? That's the whole point of this. If it's not relevant to your property type, why would I show it to you? So that you can just see it and scroll past it? No, hopefully not. It's property and project, no. But if we say yes, then we see we've got questions to answer for making that selection. We'll go ahead and answer these. It is not new construction. I already have this as fee simple. So as you go through the first ones, they're going to take you some time to fill out, right? Some of these data elements are new. A lot of these data elements are new. The scenarios are going to be different, right, as you go through. But this is why taking those classes is going to be extremely helpful to make sure that you're ahead of the curve on that. Now, I'm going to leave this section as is right now. I'm not going to put in anything else as far as images, exhibits, or anything. That way I can go ahead and click on this PDF view and show y'all another component that we are very happy to implement into Workbench, which is a PDF preview. Now, as you're going through and you're filling out your report, it doesn't look like your finished product in here, right? This is very much not looking like a PDF. And if you are unfamiliar for whatever reason with what the new completed report looks like, or PDF will look like, I'll show you in here right now, but you can go ahead and click on PDF view in Workbench at any point in time, whether you filled out 1 data point, 2 data points, you completed your entire URAR, you've got 10 in there, whatever it is, and you can hit PDF view and generate a PDF and see where you're at this point. Now, we're in the process of going through testing with the GSEs, and we do have findings on our PDF that we are working through. But the couple of these are still a work in progress as far as refining. But what you will see is all of the data that I entered mapping into these fields here. And there's a lot of blank fields as well because we didn't obviously complete an entire URAR, but I can see that this is a purchase. It's traditional. There's my response for no, a property data report was not used on this assignment. The client that I entered, that image that was stored, carried over. No ADUs is showing on here, no special tax assessments. So all of that, again, at any point, you can go ahead and click on that PDF view and see this result and validate and verify, right? Trust but verify that your data is mapping to where we said it's going to in your PDF. Now, in addition to that, we also have integrated with both compliance APIs. So there's 2, right? Fannie and Freddie both have a compliance API that are the same, but different. So we've integrated with both, not one or the other. And in doing so, that will allow us to display to you the rule findings when you are ready to submit a completed report. So what that looks like for us is as you hit review on a completed report, now this is, we took out some fields in order to do this, right? Because we'd have a laundry list of findings here. But what you're going to see, what you're used to seeing are review master results. So it's going to look slightly different, a little bit cleaned up version, right, in ACI Sky Workbench. And we're going to show you exactly what the error is that's coming through per compliance API integration here. So errors, fatal errors for the GSEs. These are ones you can't send it, you can't deliver, you got to fix these things. We're going to say exactly what it is that needs to be fixed. We're not, adjusting any of the language here. This is exactly what comes over from the GSEs. And then we also show the warnings, right? And these are not required to fix in order to deliver, but might be something you want to take a look at before you do upload. And then it will show you specifically where you need to go to make the edits and to fix the elements in the assignment that need to be fixed here. Okay, and now I know it's not necessarily relative to the URAR, but one of my favorite features in here is this feedback feature that we have. Now, initially this was created for beta testers, and boy, do they use the heck out of this. It's awesome to see all of the feedback coming through. But this is actually a feature that will always live in Workbench, because if you've heard myself or Kim talk about our goals for Workbench or the vision that we have with ACI for Workbench, we constantly are saying this tool is built for appraisers by appraisers. And obviously I have said so many times I'm not an appraiser, but I make sure to put myself in the room with appraisers and a seat at the table with many appraisers, and make sure that we are understanding the problems that are had. And this tool helps us do that and continue to do that well beyond limited production, well beyond broad production in January. And we continue to refine this tool and make it better and better for y'all as you are using it. So this is in Workbench for all users at any point in time. If you're having a really great experience with something and you want to let us know, if you're having an issue with something and you want to let us know, or you've got a really great idea, maybe you have something that works in another solution really well for you and you want to make us aware of that, you can come in here, select a category, right? If it's my progress tracker, which was that one that showed us not started, in progress, or complete, and you've got feedback to give, you can fill it out here. That comes over to me. I get notifications often about all of these things coming through, and I live in this. So this is a really exciting feature again for me to be able to show to y'all, because without your feedback, we're not going to be able to implement exactly what you need to feel successful with all of these updates and all of these changes. So with that, that is everything that I wanted to show in Workbench today. I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions, but happy to answer them as they're coming through.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Evelyn. That was fantastic. It's so exciting to see all of these features just come to life in Workbench. We're continuing to iterate and build and incorporate more and more feedback from appraisers into the solution. And so just to be able to see how we can populate DataMaster into Workbench is very exciting. So thank you so much for that. We have a ton of questions coming through. I've been trying to answer as many as possible. We will have some time here at the end for some live Q&A. But before we get there, I do want to touch briefly on just compliance and application. And so Jared and I, we were talking before this presentation, and we have some points that we'd like to go over here with the group. First and foremost, that is the ACI UAD timeline. There's so many questions about what is industry prep, what is limited production, how long are the GSEs going to accept those 2.6 forms? And so the phase that we are in right now, this is industry prep. This is where everybody is kind of scrambling and racing to the finish. This is where we are all actively preparing for these UAD changes that are taking place. At ACI, we are finalizing Workbench, which Evelyn just showed you, our new cloud-based 3.6 solution. Our beta program, we've actually had appraisers in our solution since February. That's whenever we kicked off our first testing initiative, but active beta has been live since April, and we are still encouraging appraisers to join us in our beta testing program. We have hundreds of appraisers in there now, and we just just love to see even more join us. It's a really fantastic opportunity to get your hands into Workbench and again, be part of the iterations as we're leading up to limited production in September. So September 8th, limited production. This is the date that is on everyone's mind right now. And so during this phase, this is when only select lenders who have actually submitted the UAD questionnaire and been approved by the GSEs are able to order those first UAD 3.6 appraisal assignments. So it's not everyone. It's only a very small handful of lenders that will be approved in order to participate in kind of like this beta program, essentially, right? This limited production period. Workbench will be available to all ACI customers starting on September 1st. So again, we encourage you to join our beta program if you want to get in there sooner than later, but you will have access to it starting on September 1st so that if you do get one of those new UAD 3.6 assignments, you are prepared. Broad production. So this is January 26th of 2026. So we have limited production with just a handful of lenders. We actually have broad production that is starting January 26th of next year. This is when any lender can place a UAD 3.6 assignment without having that prior approval from the GSEs. At ACI, we are going to start migrating all of those 2.6 appraisals into Workbench. And so starting in September, you'll have access to all of the UAD 3.6 appraisals in Workbench, but you'll still have to use the desktop solution for any of those legacy appraisal assignments. But we're going to be moving them one by one into Workbench, right? That desktop software, it's dated, it's old, it's going to fade off into the sunset. And we want to make sure that our appraisers have access to all of these tools, the dynamic information and data that's available at your fingertips. So we're going to be migrating all of those forms into Workbench, including general purpose forms, any appraisals that you would need for non-lending assignments like foreclosure and anything, right? If you have an appraisal, you'll be able to complete it in Workbench starting January 26, 2026. Then comes the mandate. So that is November 2nd of next year. This is when the GSEs are requiring all lenders to place a UAD 3.6 for any of those GSE-backed assignments. So again, UAD 3.6, that's really, it's only for lending GSE appraisal assignments. All of the general purpose foreclosure at 2055, that's all still going to exist. Our goal is to have all of those legacy forms into Workbench by this date, November 2nd of next year. Now, the GSEs are going to keep that pipeline open to allow for revisions. I saw a couple of questions come into the chat about, what do they do if they get a revision request for a UAD 2.6 assignment? GSEs are still accepting those all the way up until May 3rd. And so we will as well, right? So you will still have access to all of those legacy assignments if you have any revisions coming in. Eventually, our desktop is going to fade off into the sunset. Come May 3rd, GSEs are no longer going to accept any of those UAD 2.6 assignments. And at that point, everything will be in ACI's Workbench solution. Hope that made sense for everyone. And with that, I'm going to now hand this over to Jared. Jared, you want to talk a little bit about UAD 3.6?
Yeah, so many of you may have noticed that even beginning last year, towards the end of the year, we started seeing some of these policy changes. And it used to be that the technology was ahead of the policy, and the policy was what was really holding us back from doing certain things and or using technology. And now kind of the reverse has happened. And we noticed that we're all doing ANSI standard sketching, right? And that was a policy change. That was all in preparation for this 3.6. And so in December, they announced a new way to do the market analysis. Well, just as of June of last month, a few weeks ago, Fannie and Freddie published this Uniform Appraisal Dataset supplemental guide for 3.6, and there's a lot of policy changes in there. We have a link that will take you to this resource. So not only do you have the regular selling guide that's starting to see some changes, and I think a couple weeks ago, last week, FHA made some changes in preparation for 3.6. One of the questions that I saw was, are FHA and VA going to change to 3.6? The answer is yes. They have both said that they're going to, and in fact, there are specific fields that if you say this is an FHA assignment, then those fields are dynamic and they become available. So you're doing it in one place. But you're going to start seeing some of these compliance changes, some of the policy changes ahead of the limited production, ahead of the broad production, and so start getting used to those, watching for those. If you're not on a mailing list, go sign up for the mailing list. Get on Fannie and Freddie's mailing list so that you're getting these notices as well, and you keep up to date on it. I think one of the other things that I wanted to talk about here is, this can be overwhelming. I've been involved with it for a long time, and it seems to me that it's just progressing kind of as planned, with a few hiccups. But if I'm looking at this for the first time, I'm overwhelmed. I can imagine that you are overwhelmed as well. There's a few things that I would say you can do today, in preparation for September, November, this next January, going forward. Number one, I would start taking my continuing education with purpose. And what I mean by that is you're going to be asked to do market analysis in a way that you haven't done before. Remember when the 1004 MC was kind of new and we were all pulling our hair out, and that was a big change. Well, there's some big changes like that are in the new 3.6. I would take a market analysis course. I would look at highest and best use. Those are two areas where I think as appraisers, we have value. And if you're not comfortable with those topics, scope of work would be another one. Supporting adjustments, that would be another one. That's where I would spend some time. Definitely, like I mentioned before, get used to exporting data, analyzing data. One of the things that I really loved about what Evelyn showed was is a data-driven process. You could see the different data elements and where the conflicts were. Many of you had questions about or made comments centered around, well, my public record data is not good, or my MLS data is not good, my agents aren't doing a good job. To me, when that happens, that's job security. That's my job security. They want me to make the decision which one is right, which one is relevant, which one impacts the market. And that's where we keep our relevancy. The public's expecting us to do that. Our clients are expecting us to do that. Having a tool like Workbench where I can see that data and I can make the decision, where I don't have to go grab it from 7 different websites and try to aggregate it myself and type it and hope I didn't misspell something. That's gonna be the saving grace. You're gonna love that. And so those are the things that I would do as we try to stay compliant. We're gonna have lots of these webinars where we're disseminating the information. And so that's what I would say. Watch for this. Watch for the little link that we have. Some of you asked, and maybe Kim, I don't mean to step on your toes, but some of you asked, where are these classes that we've been talking about? Val Expo is going to be in August. I'm teaching 2 classes. There's a 4-hour class and a 3-hour class right after Val Expo at the same venue, August 14th. One is supporting adjustments and reporting the sales comparison approach in the new URAR. We have 2, I'll just prime this for a second. We have 2 case studies that are some of the best case studies that I've ever seen in a course. They're real live, which means they're not made up data. The data doesn't work mysteriously only in class and then not in real life. And then the second one, these are designed, you can either buy it together, a 7-hour, or separate. Reporting market analysis, a better way to understand the new URAR. I'm gonna do a 3-hour dive into the section of the URAR that deals with market analysis. But those are some of the things that are coming up. The 7-hour class is available by a lot of education providers. You can look on the Appraisal Institute website, which is who I teach for, both virtually and in person. But there's a bunch of resources there for ACI as well. Kim and Evelyn, this has been fantastic. I'm so excited.
Can you believe that we are up on time already.
I know, it's just
What
flying by.
happened?
It is
This
just
went-
flown by.
Yeah, this went so fast. I think we could probably talk about this for like 2 more hours. So many questions are coming into the chat. Just really trying to get to all of them, guys. But unfortunately, we are up on time, and we don't want to take any more of your time. We will have access to these after. So what we can do is we can respond to you via email, get back to you. We can have some folks from our groups reach out to you and answer any questions that you might have that we didn't have a chance to talk to you. Just real quick, I do want to clarify, because there are a ton of questions about price. Just want you guys to know Workbench is yours. If you're an active ACI customer, Workbench will be available to you come September 1st. It is included in your subscription. So please sign up with us, join our beta program, be part of the change, and we have some available discounts to you. So if you were kind enough to join us today and you stuck with us through this whole entire hour, these offers are available to you. $75 off of your ACI membership. All you have to do is head on over to our website at aciweb.com/webinar promo. There's a form there, fill it out. This is for new and existing customers. So if you want to renew with us and get your hands on Workbench, please head on over. You'll get $75 off. Same thing with DataMaster. DataMaster, $49. It's regularly $89. All you need is ACI 49. Head on over to their website, use that coupon code when you're checking out, and you will have a sweet little discount. And with that, thank you all so much for being a part of this. This has been incredibly educational. There's still folks that are coming in now from the lobby. So if you're just joining us late, no worries. We're going to be sending out a link of this recording to everyone who both registered and attended. So you will be able to watch this again. If you missed any of this information, go back through, pause the screen, get all the info that you need, because this was just jam-packed full of information. Any questions? Again, if you have some time, put them in the Q&A chat. We will get back to you after the session. And thank you so much, both Jared and Evelyn. It has been fantastic to join forces with DataMaster and just be able to share all of the information and resources that we have to all of you that have joined us today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.